We're joined now by Matt Barnes. He's a co-host of All the Smoke with Steven Jackson. He also is an NBA champion, a longtime NBA vet. And Matt, you are the father of twin boys who are pretty good basketball players. Saw them out in Section 7 out in Phoenix, putting up highlights. So I got to start here with the Bronny James news. His contract came out. It's 4 years guaranteed, $7.9 million. And I guess, how do you think Bronny is going to be received by opponents, first of all, in Summer League that starts in about a week?
It's going to be tough sledding for a while. But I think the overall situation is incredible. You know, as you mentioned, a father with sons, I would have given anything to be able to play on the same court in the NBA with my son. So I don't care what anyone says about how he got there and what's going on. I love the fact that he's there and he's getting an opportunity to play with his dad. But I think at this point now, it's on him. You know what I mean? He's got the contract, he's got the security, he's got some money to go with it. And now it's about him and his game and what can he do when he's out there to produce. But I know he's been working all summer with Chris Johnson, who's the same trainer that trains my twins. And I think if Bronny sticks to what he's been doing this summer, I think he's going to have an opportunity to continue to develop each year. And around year 3, year 4, I think he's going to be a very solid contributor to whether the Lakers or, wherever else he may be.
Matt, what is it with basketball playing twins these days? You got your twins, Eddie House's twins, Carlos Boozer's twins, the Thompson twins. I mean, what's going on?
We were all around the same time, drinking the same alcohol, smoking the same. Something must have happened.
All right. So, but Matt, but my question was, how do you think he's going to be received by opponents?
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough sledding. I think obviously there's going to be fans that wrap their arms around him and embrace him. But we all know, being in this game, whether it be media or the actual sport, the hate is always louder than the love. Mm-hmm. So I think there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be taking shots and disrespecting him and his game and his family. And unfortunately, that comes with the territory these days. But I think he'll do a great job, as his dad does, of blocking this out and understanding, hey, I've got an amazing opportunity. My dad is the one that kind of put me in this position, but now it's on me to improve. And I think he has the work ethic of his father and obviously a high IQ. So it's going to be tough for a little while, really until he gets out there and proves himself.
Have your sons experienced that? If so, how early, and how did you walk them through that experience of guys going, oh, that's Matt Barnes' sons? Oh, we're going to go at him and I'm going to make a name for myself by showing up the NBA players' kids?
That's why I know it's going to be tough, because I wasn't even in the same stratosphere as LeBron, and my kids started getting it at 8 years old when I retired and started coaching them. Parents cussing at them, kids going at them extra hard just because I was their father. And I think it made them the tough kids and mentally strong kids they are today. We've been facing it, and I'm sure Bronny's been facing it, as long as he's been playing basketball. Obviously NBA dads, and this is a plug because we have hoop dads coming out that we just, did a deal for. But, nice. Being the sons of NBA athletes isn't easy. I mean, obviously it comes with a lot of luxuries, but it comes with a lot of, disrespect and jealousy and hate. So, my kids started facing it at 8 or 9, and again, I think it's toughened them up to this point. And, that's why now when they're on the big stage, they don't shy away from anything, and they're ready for everything, because they've had parents and kids alike cussing and disrespecting them since they were 8, 9 years old.
Matt, I'm curious what you thought about the moves made in Philly, particularly with Paul George, because most people, it's almost like the Celtics. You weren't going to pick them until you saw them do it because of what the Celtics probably, close game situations. With this team, it's health, especially for Joel Embiid. And now I guess you could throw Paul George in that situation. But if all you're saying is, hey, they got to get lucky with health on Joel Embiid one time, isn't this kind of top of the East, disgusting team?
This is definitely a team right up there with the Celtics. When you look at Embiid and what he's been able to do the last, over his career, but really probably the last 3 years, the way he's been playing and putting up MVP numbers and really dragging this team as far as they got, on one leg. My biggest thing with him is obviously, just like you guys said, has always been health with Embiid, and can he play enough games during the season to, whatever, register or qualify to receive awards, but also still have something in the tank to get his thing through the playoffs. Obviously, Paul George, really happy for Paul to be able to still get that kind of money. but a unique skill set. They can do it on both sides of the ball, and someone that's definitely going to take pressure off of Embiid. And then obviously the emergence of Maxey. We can't overlook what he's been able to accomplish in his growth over the last handful of years, and putting himself as one of the top young up and coming point guards in this game. So, on paper, everything looks good on paper, and we have to see how it works on the court. But I think overall, the biggest thing for them is going to be able to maintain health amongst their two stars, or two out of their three stars, Embiid and George. And if they're able to do that, you put them right up there with the Bostons. But obviously Boston got it over the hump this year. So they got that experience. They've been to the finals a couple times, and they finally won it. So, I mean, again, on paper, things always look good, but until you actually get there in the playoffs, in those Eastern finals, and get over that hump to the finals and actually battle in the finals, you have no clue what it's like.
Speaking of looking good on paper, the Knicks were really excited to get Mikal Bridges, but in the process, they've also lost Isaiah Hartenstein. How much do you think is that going to hurt them, or do you think they're just overall better because Bridges fits in with the rest of the guys?
I think Bridges is a good fit for that team. Thibodeau runs guys to the ground, and Bridges has always been someone who's played high minutes. Anytime you can reunite four guys that played in college together, that's amazing. And it was a great story last year. But, as you guys mentioned, losing Hartenstein, and although his numbers didn't blow you off the page, I think he was 8 points, 7 rebounds, or 8 points, 8 rebounds. His presence, his energy, the little things he did, he was a great glue guy for that unit. And with Robinson and his injuries and knee injuries and his inability to really stay healthy, Hardenstein was a critical part to that run, his toughness, and all the other attributes he brought to that team. So although you definitely gained Mikal Bridges, who's anywhere from an 18 to 25 point a game scorer, you lost a big part of your defensive and really team identity, because that's what Hardenstein embodied.
Matt, were you at UCLA at the same time as Baron Davis?
Yeah.
Okay, so what was that like? Someone you played college with, and then years later, now y'all grown up, you're adults, you're making money, and you play together again.
I mean, I owed a lot to Baron Davis, to be honest with you. He's my career was blowing in the wind. Obviously getting a chance to play with him at UCLA, but then I was in Sacramento in between deals. Was Clippers. Chose not to go back to the Clippers because I wanted to play for Sacramento with my big homie C Webb, and then I'm in the Webb trade that sends him to Philly. Mm-hmm. Don't get a chance to play for almost 2 years, so I'm at the end of year 4, like no real resume, nothing really going on, no teams are calling, and I'm at home in Sacramento, and Baron calls me one day, and he's down in the Bay, and he's just like, "Hey, we're gonna play pickup at the facility if you want to pull up." And I drove an hour and a half down to the Bay Area. Went out there, played really well. Didn't know that Don Nelson was up in his office watching, and that's really how I earned myself an invite to training camp and then a spot on that team. So I owe a lot to Baron, but getting a chance to play with him again in the pros, that run we had that particular year and all the injuries he was facing, that was probably the best Baron Davis I've seen, despite the injuries. And maybe in my life, that run he had going into the playoffs and in the playoffs, where every single night, no matter who we played, and that was with Dirk as MVP, Baron was the best player on the court every single night. So getting a chance to play with him again was special, and I couldn't imagine being able to add a Jerron Rush with us, or a Jerome Moise, or a Dadgad Zurich, or Earl Watson, guys I also play with the UCLA, because when that college chemistry is different than the pros. It's that real homeboy, real tight friendship, and to be able to carry that into the NBA, it would have been special. So I know there's some great chemistry going on over there in New York, but again, obviously to lose Hardenstein is a tough knock, but Randall will be back, and we'll see what they're gonna do at Randall, and if they can activate him, the Knicks are going to be a very strong contender again.
I totally see what you're saying there, and I get that. And I don't remember who it was last year during the playoffs that said at some point the Knicks are going to get back to irrelevancy pretty soon for another 15 years or so. But isn't it possible? Because I watched those Villanova teams. Never once did I say, man, keep those guys together. They're winning an NBA championship, right? Like, isn't it possible that a few years from now the Knicks are going to be like, man, we really just put together this college team and thought that was going to win a championship?
I mean, they could be riding on momentum and high hopes. Obviously, Brunson's ability, I think, has shocked a lot of people, but now it's expected. He's put himself up in the upper echelon of this game. I don't know what's going on with my background. Forgive me, guys.
That looks great, actually. I love it.
You look like a saint.
Incredible. But sometimes when you play with great players, that brings the best out of you. And this is no knock on Hart and DiVincenzo, but those guys played a lot better than we had seen them play up to this point in their career. You know what I mean? And that I think that had a lot to do with Brunson and being in the flow and being comfortable and confident. So again, you bring Mikal Bridges over, and like you said, Izzy, I mean, this is not a team you would have saw in college. Like, man, if you get these four on the same team in the NBA, they're going to win a championship. But, you get these four now with the way they're playing, the confidence they're playing with, the system they're playing in. They're getting a ton of minutes, and you add some pieces around them, whether that's going to be Julius Randle or you trade Julius Randle to get some other quality pieces. I mean, those four guys can play some basketball, but as far as, just those four guys getting them over the hump into the championship, that may be a taller task than I think they're ready for. But you never know. I mean, again, everyone doubted Jalen Brunson and what he's been able to do now. So I don't really doubt him as an individual. I just think they're going to need to add some more pieces to those four guys.
How surprised were you that Klay actually left? I think we all expected it, but it still felt like a surprise when he left.
It's hard, man, because getting a chance to know Klay over the years and then playing with him and knowing how much basketball means to him and how much he loves this game and the kind of work he puts in. He's always kind of been the unsung hero it's been overshadowed for those teams. Steph is the greatest shooter of all time, but Klay's right there. Mm-hmm. Draymond was a huge defensive part of that team that held everyone together, but Klay was doing the thing on the defensive end, taking all the pressure off of Steph before Klay got healthy or hurt, guarding all the best players. You insert KD, the one guy that takes the biggest sacrifice is Klay. So I think Klay has kind of always been the unsung hero of that team. One of the greatest shooters of all time, could be arguably the best catch and shoot shooter we've ever seen. But unfortunately, injuries have played a big role, towards the end of his career, which, obviously not having him be the same player he was, it's tough, and, the whole thing last year was, is this team going to stick it out and ride it till the wheels fall off, or are they going to have to make a move? And they've decided to make a move. So you always hate to see someone like Klay go. Again, an integral piece of those four championships, one of the greatest shooters of all time, first ballot Hall of Famer. But it happens. And to be able to go to Dallas, I think, is a great situation. We all kind of thought, hey, if he leaves, he's going to go to the Lakers back home where his dad played. But I think he was still thinking basketball. And to me, the better fit is Dallas. You got two incredible guys with the ball in their hand, and they need spacing. And now that's going to open up the floor more with Klay. And it also takes the pressure of being the second scorer, because I think, with all due respect, as good as he still shoots, I think he's more of a third scorer now, but still someone that can give you 18 to 20 points a game. So I know he's going to have a huge chip on his shoulder and ready to be a big part of what Dallas has, hopes to accomplish next year. But on the flip side, Dunleavy's had a tough run up to this point, man. Dunleavy has had a tough run. I mean, for him to make the trade with Poole, to get CP, to a year later waive CP, to lose Klay. I know Warrior fans out here wondering, what the hell is going on? We miss Bob. We want Bob back.
But Bob got out. Bob did this is the thing. Everyone's like, oh man, Mike Dunleavy's not as good. I'm like, why do you think Bob left? He saw all this coming. It was on the horizon.
He saw what was coming. He didn't like his from what I heard. He didn't like his hands-on as the owners were, doing the basketball things when, that was what was Bob's job. So Bob definitely kind of saw the writing on the wall and got out at the right time. And, obviously Dunleavy, a former teammate of mine, great basketball mind, kind of got into a tough situation. But since he's been there, no matter whose fault it is, he is the guy that's making those, or allegedly making those decisions now. So again, to start off with the CP3 trade, to lose Poole, to only waive CP the next year and lose Klay, right now, it's not looking good on Dunleavy's resume. So it'll be interesting to see if they pull any moves off. You're hearing marketing, and a few Levine and other guys like that. So it'll be interesting to see what the Warriors are able to do come free agency, or before free agency is up.
Yeah, real quick, Matt. On that note, what are you intrigued by? What type of player would you be intrigued by seeing next to Steph Curry now that Klay's not his sidekick anymore?
It would be it's interesting. I really like Lauri Markkanen. I think he's a big stretch four that has improved his game year by year, double machine that can score. So obviously, you add some size, with them and someone that can still shoot and make plays. But Steph is getting older, so my question is, who is going to be the guy that's going to be able to take some pressure, some scoring pressure off of Steph? And, I think that's the same focus and lens that Golden State is looking at now, too. They were hoping it was going to be Paul George. That didn't happen. So, you look at, the DeMar DeRozans, the Zach LaVines, the Lauri Markkanen. You got to have someone that can put the ball in the basket, because right now, if I'm not mistaken, Steph will be 36 next year, or he may be already 36. So he's still great and still has more in the tank, but he definitely is going to need some help on that scoring side of the ball.